Hello, I'm Bob Goldbaum, Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of Financial Interactive. Today I'm going to be going through our flagship product, FundRunner, desktop software, and talking through the functionality and value-added propositions for our clients. First off, as a review, Financial Interactive was founded really by experiences by the co-founders and people in the industry that we had heard of all the pains involved in keeping in touch with their investor base. In a nutshell, Financial Interactive focuses on investor relationship management solutions for alternative fund managers, fund-of-funds managers, and their service providers, which include prime brokerage, fund administrators, and even outside accountants and consultants. And you'll see why as we go through the functionality. But investor relationship management really covers anything involving communicating with your clients, whether it be printed material, your website, which FundRunner Web covers, producing performance and balance statements for your clients, however they're published, and even keeping track of phone calls and any other communications. A big piece of investor relationship management is client relationship management systems, a CRM system. And as you'll see within FundRunner, we cover those just like any other CRM application would to some extent, but then we focus really on the high net worth individuals and the institutional investor and their specific needs. So if anyone is familiar with things like Outlook or ACT or Goldmine, some of the functionality that people tend to take for granted really isn't enough when you're talking about communicating to high net worth individuals and institutions. And with that, I'll jump right into the product. Right here you'll see on the face of FundRunner a CRM interface. So contact names, addresses, telephone numbers, titles, and basically everything you need to contact these people. Now, when you look more carefully at the FundRunner interface, you'll notice that even within the phone number area, for instance, we give the user the ability to add a phone number and name it however they'd like. So, in my example here, hopefully one day I'll have a house in the Cayman Islands, but for many high net worth individuals, they'll have homes around the world. They'll be at these different homes or different places where they stay at any time of the year. And if you're a money manager, especially when you're talking about private equity and you have capital calls that happen at any given time, being able to contact these people could be very important. Or to clear up any uncertainties in letters of authorization or subsequent investments or withdrawals from a fund. And as you see here, in my example, we can name these phone numbers anything you'd like so that the relationship manager, the administrator, or even the fund manager will know exactly what these represent and know exactly how to contact these individuals. And going beyond that, you'll see in the interface that next to each phone number we allow the user to have a free-form text field. So beyond the standard extensions, phone numbers, the type, whether or not they're primary or secondary, the free-form text field really clears up what time of year are they at these locations. Who am I going to be actually talking to when I call this phone number? So it gives you the flexibility, and it gets all that intelligence out of the relationship manager's head into the application, just in case they leave the organization, get hit by a bus, who knows. Now that same concept is also used when creating addresses or adding addresses to an individual's record. So as you see here, in my example, I'm obviously an employee of Financial Interactive, and I have that tagged as my default address. But my home address in this example is only tagged to my record. Unlike many CRM applications, we actually allow to link a company to an individual's record. And what that allows us to do is to perform really the first level of relationship tracking. So in other words, you see here I have 3 entities that are tagged to my record. 3 companies, I should say. And those are delineated by the little buildings. And what that means is that they exist in the database as a company, and I have attached that company to my record. Now, when I look at the company view, I can instantly see anybody who has that address attached to their record, allowing me to report to those people, allowing me to see any individual in that organization. Now, this has a lot of efficiencies attached to it as well. That means that when you add a company, you'll never have to add that company again. Unlike something like Outlook, where every time you added a contact record to Outlook, you'll also have to add all of their company addresses, home addresses, and possibly different locations for those companies. What we do in FundRunner is we allow the user to add an organization, add all of the locations to that organization, and as you add employees or contacts within that company, you simply attach the correct address or addresses for that company to the individual. A lot of benefits to that from reporting. The redundancy is eliminated, and again, the relationship building. As with the phone numbers, we also allow the user to name the addresses exactly how they are. And in my example here again, I've got Financial Interactive as my business. I've got my home address. In my case, I put my first home, thinking optimistically. I'm a board member of Junior Achievement, so I've labeled that as a board member. And then also another organization I used to be on the board of. There are some really big values in this, especially when you talk about a high net worth individual who might be affiliated with a large company, because for the simple fact that that company could also be a prospect or an investor in a fund. The big value in being able to name these addresses exactly what they mean to this individual really shown when you talk about high net worth individuals who have large companies that they've started or affiliated with. Those companies obviously might have pension plans, they might have foundations or trusts that they have started as a family member, but those foundations or trusts aren't necessarily named intuitively to relate the individual to the entity. So naming these addresses really has a lot of value to it, and especially for the fact that these endowments, trusts, foundations, pension plans can all be investors in a particular fund or prospects for a particular fund. So when going out and doing a marketing campaign, for instance, launching a new fund or going out and raising more money for a particular fund, not only are you hitting the individuals, but you also have a very clear picture of a path to a much larger entity as an institutional investor, and vice versa. To take the relationships even further, we've created this relationship tab. And to illustrate this, I'm going to go to a sample investor. And while I'm doing this, you'll notice up here in the upper left-hand corner of FundRunner these different navigational views of the system. Now, to leave the contact view, which I've been on, you'll see that we can look at contacts by investors. We can look at things by groups and flags. We can look at just the prospect and, again, the company view. Other views down below we'll get to later, but those are more related to funds and task management as well as queries and reporting.